now, or?
Yeah. So the moment you see Facebook Live, you can start welcoming people and act like the host.
Okay.
But I'm going to go off camera, and I'm also going to go off mic.
Okay. I don't know, Mina's taking for some reason.
Yeah. So you will keep seeing people coming in, and you let them in at 5:30. You don't have to let them in earlier.
Okay. Yep.
And you can talk about your connection with me as you're hosting. It's 5:30 already.
Do you see it? I don't see it. Okay. Mina? Namaskar.
Can you see other people in the waiting room?
Yes, now I do. Hi, Linda. Oh, you're on mute. Hi. Hi, everyone.
Hello. Hello.
Hello. Hi. Enormous hugs. Okay, good evening, everyone. Or good morning and good afternoon, depending on where you are. Well, I'm really thrilled. Tonight, February 15th, we're here together. And I'm enthusiastic about Mynoo Maryel's transmission for tonight. It's we're on the Human Miracle, number 19 of 52, and it's about the circadian set points. So Mynoo is going to share the 7 circadian set points that are essential to be synchronized for full spectrum well-being. It is this synchronization that dissolves addictive behaviors and relieves chronic conditions. And I haven't thought about the circadian set points at all, except to practice of attempting to sleep by 10:30. So I'm really looking forward to Mynoo's transition to Mynoo sharing tonight. It's so great to see everyone. Mynoo, are you ready to come on and
Yes, I
begin
am.
your transmission?
Yes, I am. Great. Thank you, Sarah, for hosting. And you will take care of the waiting room area. Thank you. Okay.
Looks like everyone is in so far.
Okay, great. Let's begin. And as always, Sarah, you as a host, this is an interactive session. So Just feel free to ask any particular questions, or if you believe that there is a share that you wish to do that would be impactful for people, then interrupt what I'm saying. Because in this session, you're representing like an archetype of other humans. Okay. And if any of you have questions, comments, or sharing, then just do that in the chat. Okay, let's begin. So, quite a few things that require juggling. So yes, this is a very important part of the human miracle. The next 8 sessions, maybe even more than that, are actually dedicated to the circadian set points. And today we are actually bringing them all together so that you have a sense of the lay of the land of what we are going to be covering. So first of all, let's really understand this whole circadian thing. And, the circadian rhythm is a Nobel Prize winning concept. Just hold on a second. I'm going to get something to help my throat. Circadian rhythm itself, the way it is described, in the dictionaries, they really talk about, circadian rhythms are physical, mental, behavioral, the changes that an organism experiences over a 24-hour cycle. And circadian rhythms often refer to light, dark, and they all have, depending on what's going on in the day, they all have a significant influence. And what I'm about to share with you are the 7 circadian set points. If they are synchronized, then you're always going to be in perfect rhythm, whatever time of day that there may be. So your food intake, your emotional stress levels, physical activity, the social environment, temperature, everything affects it. And I got introduced to this whole idea of circadian set points, and I spoke about it early last year around this time, when I chose to really learn how to live a medicine-free life, which I dedicated last year to doing. And that is where I really understood this whole philosophy of the circadian, and then the set points and the circuit, dive deep into the circadian rhythm body of work. Let's just break it up. Circadian is something that occurs naturally over a 24-hour period. Set point itself is a level or a point at which a variable physiological state tends to stabilize. So what we are talking about here are the 7 areas that we wish to have a physiological state stabilize. And once that occurs, then you are constantly in your rhythm. You don't have to be in excess of anything. And you don't have to deprive yourself of anything either. So let's look at each one in turn. The first one is light, the amount of light that you are meant to expose yourself to. And there is a number that we can talk about, but to me, that is less important. What is more important is what is the quality of light? And then what effect does it have? What is the source of that light? So there is one source that we all experience every single day. One source of light. Even if we did nothing, we will experience that source of light. And that is sunlight. So the ideal form of light for us to take in is sunlight. The other light occurs, we just as humans, we've got so used to switching on the electric lights. Sunlight is the real light that is food for us. And the interesting thing to understand is our body has these 5 sensory organs, and it has a number of, which are there on the surface, other than the tongue. Most of them are very much present in the surface and active all the time. And one of those sensory organs, the skin, is an important absorption organ. Whatever touches the skin absorbs it. And if your internal terrain is working and humming along nicely, then the perfect nutrients are absorbed and the rest is excreted. So exposing yourself to sunlight through sunbathing is a very good way to feed yourself this very precious, very special light. There is a particular time of the day where you can do that without harming yourself. Because if you are to feed your skin and have your skin absorb sunlight, then you'll be doing it without those sun creams, which means there is a very particular time of the day that you are to do this to keep yourself safe. And that time of the day really is just at the time of sunrise or just at the time of sunset. The rest of the time, unless you have a darker skin tone and you are already in a place where your circadian set points are synchronized, you will do what you require to do for yourself to keep yourself safe from the harmful effects of sunlight. At those times, the sunlight is food. It provides you with some very important and essential nutrients. So what I tend to do, and Sarah, when you came to Bali with me, we used to do this on the ocean. What we would do is we would activate another sensory system to feed on sunlight. And those were our eyes. So we were doing sun gazing, and we were doing sun gazing wearing, clothes such as it could be a swimsuit or just a t-shirt with a sarong. And we had our feet in the ocean because we could do it. You don't always have the ocean. The only time to do sun gazing is when the sun is just rising or the sun is about to set. So when the sun is just rising and you go out there with, sufficient amount of skin showing, to the sun and you're doing the sun gazing, you really are feeding yourself in with exactly the right amount of light. The rest of the day, you can be in an environment which doesn't have any windows, which happens to be quite a lot. When I'm speaking at conferences and stuff, there are no windows, or even if they're there, it's all darkened up. This light, if you think about what the sun does, it literally, if you have the sun shining on seed that has got a bit of moisture in it, but not yet germinated, or fruit that is completely raw, the sun ripens it naturally and perfectly. It literally enriches and enhances the colors that are there in the fruits. Water is an important activator of the sun's ability to impact us powerfully. And this whole exercise of exposing yourself to the sun really does not require you to be there for, 40 minutes or so. 20 minutes to half an hour is enough. Sun gazing itself will take you no more than 10 minutes. And maximum of 40 minutes of exposure of the sun to the sun at that time of the morning or the time just before dusk is good enough for that, the light circadian set point, to be perfectly harmonized. You will experience it. The way I know I've had enough sun is when my body starts generating its own internal heat. So I begin the sun gazing. I do the sun gazing for, 10 minutes. And the way I do the sun gazing is I will just squint my eyes a little bit like this, and I'm looking at the sun. Sometimes, and Sarah, this is what we did when we were in Bali, right? Sometimes what I would do is I would point my fingers in the direction of the sun. Arms are stretched forward, and I'll just direct them into my eyes and then go down for any excess to be taken out of my system. And I would do this again and let the excess go down. How do you know that 10 minutes are up? You can, of course, set a timer, but it can be quite long. 10 minutes will feel quite long doing this. You can choose a song whose verses you can repeat. You can choose a mantra and keep repeating that mantra. The mantra that I have calculated, and it was really under guidance, I didn't come up with this, but I use it, is the Indian Gayatri mantra. And if you're able to hum that 24 times, that is just the right amount that you require to sun gaze. When you're finished sun gazing, you close your eyes first of all, and then you take your palm and you cover them and you cross your fingers over each other. You'll feel a complete state of darkness in front of your eyes. Your eyes remain closed, and you stretch your eye muscles by just looking into the darkness. Your eyes are still closed, but you're allowing the muscles to as if stretch out and look into the darkness. Then you take your hands down and keep your eyes closed still. Now you're allowing the sun to shine into your eyes again, but your eyelids are shut. And because you did that stretch of the nano stretch of the eye muscles, then the sunlight is going in between the crevices that got stretched out. And just leave it like that for a few seconds, actually, 30 to 40 seconds. And then take your hands in a namaste, rub your palms against each other, put them over your eyes and blink your eyes first. And then you can just dab your face and you're ready to open your eyes. And now you can sit down for another 20 minutes or so, or lie down, just to allow the rest of your skin to bathe in the sun. The perfect combination is sunbathing and wind bathing. And you can just literally wind bathing only 20 minutes. You don't need any more than that. And you just allow yourself to receive all of that. And you've literally got the light set point perfectly synchronized. And you can get on with the rest of your day. It is a very important set point, and getting it directly from the sun is perfect. You do receive that quantum of light also from your light bulbs. You don't necessarily get the nutrients that the sun provides, but you still get the light. So there may be times where there is no sunlight, which happens in certain parts of the world. In which case you will use your own internal light, keeping it switched on and working with that. There are certain types of light bulbs that emulate sunlight also. So do your own research and find the ones that are perfect for you. The eyes play a very important role, and hence sun gazing is so important. It plays a very different way, different role, and it's a very different way in which it absorbs the nutrients of the sunlight. The first thing the eyes do is they really do activate your sensory system as the sensory system. Has a very important impact on your middle ear, cleaning it up, your saliva glands, so that the flow of digestive enzymes is perfect. Letting the light of the sun in the sun gazing format through your eyes, you actually start to train your eyes to trust. What I tend to do, I tend to have whatever trees there are to envelope me in their okayness as I'm doing the sun gazing, so I feel very warmly hugged while I'm receiving the light of the sun. Receiving the light through the eyes also activates your inner fire. The wind, on the other hand, and remember what the fire element does, it destroys that which doesn't serve. It transmutates that destruction into a new state. And that new state is always one of flow. If you're doing it outside, then you also have the wind, and wind as an element blows away the clutter and brings clarity. And like we did in Bali, Sarah, when you were doing the immersive journey to miracles, we had our feet in the ocean. So we had the water, which washes away the debris and brings flow. And our feet were resting on the rocks. So we had the earth. that was anchoring this new state of flow. And you had the sky above. But you're working with the sun, it comes with the fifth element of ether, space, which literally clears out any unnecessary blockages that may be there internally. Very important, when you take the sun in through your eyes, the nutrients go into your connective tissue. Every organ of yours is surrounded by that connective tissue. If you've ever used your own hands to slice up meat, you'll find there's a very fine tissue that often comes out before you can feel the flesh of the animal. That connective tissue is there with us also, and it plays a very important role. A lot of the time when people experience pain, it's attributed to the nervous system, but it actually is toxins in the connective tissue. Sun gazing, literally after 1 or 2 days of sun gazing itself, the connective tissue receives so much nourishment that it transforms your quality of life. In a very happy place on account of that. So you can, in the way you work with this light. So if you're working with the electric light, it's a little bit difficult to get all of those things. Whereas if you just take those 20 minutes to half an hour outside and do this, you can actually benefit from all of the elements as well as the nutrients of sunlight, as well as the set point of light itself. Anything that you are seeing, Sarah, for yourself, anything that you're picking up that you wish to share or elaborate, or any questions that are arising?
Yes, definitely. I'm thinking, of course, Bali was idyllic. I mean, that really was an ideal setting for us to run out of the cabins where we were, and the ocean was right there. But being in New York this year, and Mexico as well. So Mexico, even Mexico City, I run out immediately to the balconies, and we're in the middle of the city, but amongst the trees, and I love being there because I go in my pajamas but in New York, in the East Coast now, I'm finding this winter really, really rough and disturbing with my circadian rhythm, and I have a balcony. So what do you suggest? Because what I have felt this winter is because I'm in Midtown, so I have all the lights outside 24 hours a day. So I land up putting down all my blinds, and then it's actually like a cave. But then I find it really hard to get up in the morning in the winter, and I just want to cuddle in the cave. And it really I could feel this disorientation. There's been a shift that I'm unhappy with. I don't feel at peace. So what do you suggest? Because I do have a balcony. So should I just bundle up and go outside with a coat, my hat and coat, onto the balcony, even though it feels uncomfortable because it's cold out, it's cold, and it really feels disruptive. I suppose I would get used to doing that. And it's disruptive.
Yeah, it's a very good question and a very practical one. You have this experience in the UK, in London particularly, there is no light.
Right.
Right. So and when I was in Delhi, there was light, yes. And the pollution was so high. So the last thing I want is my delicate eyes to be, receiving the sun through all of these pollutants going in. So what I did there is actually look at the sun through the room. The windows were closed. but I literally activated my own cells simply by instructing them, that I'm going through this and the intention is to feed my body with sunshine. Seeds germinate. You can put them on a windowsill with the window closed. Fruits will ripen even if the sun comes through the window. Now, where there is no sun, which can also happen, in that case, you are actually looking at the light inside your home. And then in that case, you don't need 20 minutes or 30 minutes. You probably need 2.5 hours of that. Like consciously, there is no sun gazing that happens. You're just feeding on the light that is inside.
And Mynoo, when we're doing that inside with the lights, if we set the intention, a clear intention for our cells and our body to absorb the lamp light, are we, let's say even the sun lamps that they use in Scandinavia, are we getting nutrition or we're only getting some element?
With the sun lamps, you do get nutrition. Not completely the way you do with sunlight, natural sunlight, but you do get nutrition. The other light, you don't necessarily get the nutrition, but what they would do is, so I give permission to my body to reactivate any nutrients that may be hidden, so that whatever is required for the light to process that and for whatever is hidden to again become activated or invoked in me happens. And it's no big complication. You literally just say to your body, look, find whatever nutrients that are there that require a light activation and activate them. And give permission to your cells to absorb the nutrients and release that doesn't serve you. Now, there are certain lights that use mercury. There are some type of light bulbs that use mercury. And those I would avoid exposing ourselves too much to. So worth just looking at what kind of light bulbs you do have at home. If you absolutely don't get that light, you may still want to presence the elements in you. In which case, you will use food, and I'm going to talk about that a bit later on, food and water, and your breath as a way of invoking those elements. It's not the same as light, but it can help. The thing is that, once your circadian set points have been synchronized, it actually takes like months of neglect to go out of synchronization. Doesn't happen overnight. So what I found is I stopped stressing about, oh my God, I don't have this today. Because I've now figured out that actually it can, up to 5 months, I'll still remain in sync. So it's gross neglect that will take you out of sync. And your first sign that your circadian set points are out of sync is when you start demonstrating addictive behavior of any kind. It could be addictive behavior in the context of food, or addictive behavior in the context of, becoming obsessed with points of view or behaviors of other kinds, or any other substance abuse. You are off your circadian set points. And it literally just takes 2 or 3 days, actually. It takes 72 hours of consciously synchronizing your circadian set points, and you're back, whole and complete. So let's look at the other set points. The second set point is heat. So the good thing about the sunlight is you also actually activate heat. The heat itself, you require about 2 hours of a level of heat in your body for that heat set point to get synchronized. Once it is synchronized, you can actually do it 20 minutes to 40 minutes. But initially, you require, a consistent exposure to about 2 hours of it. So, Sarah, you and I used to do hot yoga, Bikram yoga. So we certainly had 90 minutes of heat there. And it does, in another 30 minutes or so, would happen, during the course of the day. When you are engaged in movement, like running or any other such exercise where there is heat that is generated from the inside, you are actually synchronizing that particular set point. Simply having a bath or even dipping your feet in hot water, we're talking on, if you do use your body as a way of immersing itself in the heat, then you're looking at, getting the water temperature to about 38 degrees centigrade. And you can do that. I mean, I have done that 2 hours at a time. But it is quite bonkers for most people to be able to do it. I did it because I was on that, I am going to live a medicine-free life. But not everybody can do it. So you can actually dip your feet in hot water. And if you add Epsom salt and some wonderful anti-inflammatory essential oils to that, then it becomes quite a yummy experience. If you dip your feet in the water, you do it 30 minutes at a time. Anything more than 30 minutes actually will drop your body temperature and have quite a strong impact on your blood pressure. So you would not do it for anything beyond 30 minutes at a time. You can do it twice a day. And then let the rest of the heat come from, any other form of exercise that you may do. Now, what is heat doing? Our bodies are hot inside anyway. When you're applying external heat to it, then you are actually very powerfully cleaning out your sensory system. Your skin is very powerfully cleaned out, but that heat outside and inside together literally starts to melt away any form of toxic buildup that may be there. Any accumulation of gunk or stickiness or stuckness starts to melt away. So like I have this throat thing happening right now. After I finish our session, I'm going to tie a band around my throat. That'll not be hot, it'll be cold. Now, when I do the cold band around my throat, it's actually going to pump in a lot of blood to the throat area. So there'll be an excessive heat buildup inside of me directed towards my throat. So if there's any mucus buildup, which is what really, or any sort of stuff that might be stuck in my throat area, which is causing the coughing to take place, will start to separate out. So after about half an hour, I'll remove the band and I will actually dip my feet in hot water. When I dip my feet in hot water, and I'm already now quite warmed up, it literally melts away the mucus or any of the toxins that might have been shaken out. Like congestion just simply starts to melt away, and it goes towards the excretory system, which is designed to excrete. So your liver is not pressured, your toxins are not running around everywhere. Heat plays a very important role. And when you do it with this intentionality of, synchronizing your circadian set points, knowing the benefit of that synchronization, it makes a huge difference. This being out of sync of any of these 7 set points is the primary cause of any form of addictive behavior. Primary cause of any form of like trauma-related syndromes. It could be PTSD. Any form of depressiveness, well before it becomes something that is like here to stay. Sure, anxiety or stress or depression even creates a chemical imbalance. Synchronize your set points. It only takes 3 days of dedicated effort to synchronize your set points. In 3 days, many of your conditions get actually healed. And then you continue maintaining it as well as you possibly can from that point on. So it's okay for 3 days to really do what you can to have your, at least an hour of 38 degrees, be it through your feet. Now, when you dip your feet in the water, what makes it even more effective is if you can get the water all the way to your calf muscles in that level of heat. If you're able to do that, then the diverticular vein that is there in the middle of your calf muscles that connects directly to the heart, it has a very positive impact on clearing out debris that might be stuck in your circulatory system. So you can just literally create your own, regime for just 3 days to synchronize your set points. Let's move to the third one. And that goes very well combined with heat. And this is gravity. Gravity takes things down towards the earth. Okay, now, when I say dip your feet in the water, when you're dipping your feet in the water, you are sitting. Your feet are on the ground, and they will be in a tub. And what's happening is you're applying gravity. So when I say the congestion in your head, the congestion in your sinuses, the congestion in your throat or your chest melts away when you do this, it's because of gravity. You can lie down and have a hot water bottle. It will not have the same effect at all. Gravity is a circadian set point. And how gravity affects you is a circadian set point. Now, there may be a physical condition whereby you can't get up. That is possible. In which case, I know most of you here have done my meditations, beyond meditations and other journeys. I always begin them by asking you to imagine that the base of your spine, the middle of your feet are connected to the core of the earth with a golden cord. Now, if you are lying down, your feet are not on the ground, you imagine that there are 4 spots on your spine, starting from the middle of your head at the back, then in the middle of your neck, middle of your upper back, middle of your middle back, middle of your lower back, behind your knees and behind your heels. Imagine that you have cords that are connecting you to the core of the earth. and give yourself permission. With every breath out, you are releasing whatever energies don't serve you to the core of the earth. Invite proactively. Invite the earth to use its own gravitational energies, its own gravitational force to enable you to safely release that which takes you out of sync. That is another way, in case you don't have anything else available. When I would sit in the bathtub, I created a way in which I had a back support, and I sat in the bathtub in a right angle way. So I wasn't lying, I was actually seated like this, and my feet were in the front. And I would listen to, various recordings. Or I would listen to some mantras. Or I would just simply do my powerful visioning exercises, taking different areas of my life. And 2 hours would go by. I sometimes even read a book while I would be sitting there. And 2 hours would go by. You'll create your own. So that way I was applying heat and gravity at the same time. By sitting right angle, I was actually working with gravity. And of course, there was water and there was the heat in the water. All of that was working together. I just want to check in with you, Sarah, if there's any point or any question that you might have. And if any of you have any questions or points, please put them in the chat.
Yeah, I'm checking. I'm fascinated because I hadn't thought about heat nor gravity. So it's
Yeah.
completely new for me. I'm wondering about, what about heat? Again, being in New York and the East Coast, New York apartments are famous for overheating. So we have such I could do my Bikram yoga in my apartment in the winter.
Yeah.
Does that heat, does that qualify as the type of heat that is a set point for our circadian rhythm, or
You
is that
will
something different?
feel it. You will feel it. As long as you're working with the other set points and you can just stay with that heat and see if you're actually feeling that everything is all synchronized. If you feel any form of addictive behavior anywhere, showing up anywhere, then you know the set point that you have not actually worked towards synchronizing, which is heat. Just add half an hour of dip in the water, hot water.
Okay. Oh, I see. Okay. All right. That's
Okay.
great. And add the gravity as well.
Yeah.
Nina has a question about eating hot Indian spices like green cardamom and cinnamon also brings heat. Does that help, and what time and how many times?
So the way the food content helps is more in the context of elements, activating certain fire and stuff. So it does help, but you will need a lot of it, to have that equivalent of 2 hours of 38 degrees.
That will come in. I imagine you're going to cover food.
Yeah, it
with
is.
the Ayurvedic.
Food is one of the set points.
Okay. So onwards.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah, I was surprised and actually very excited to know that these are all medicines, light, heat, gravity, and more that I'm going to talk about. These are all medicines that we have in these cabinets that are surrounding us all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at it, if you look at a dog or an animal, if they are unwell, they do go and sit down on the earth, or they'll go not eat for a while. Or if they do, they will just nibble at some grassy stuff as opposed to dog food. Because they're using all of these medicines themselves. You know,
Mm.
when I went for a hike in Germany this summer, and I'm like, huffing and puffing away my way to climbing up this mountain, and there were these humongous cows, doing the same journey, not following this very smooth path, but actually climbing the mountain. And I was looking at them thinking, they do this every day. They're not huffing and puffing. They're just, doing it as if that's just what they do. They don't have any pains that I'm experiencing, right? And I really realized that actually the combination of sun on their bodies, the heat that they must be generating internally, the gravity that they are perfectly connected to, the living foods that they are having, the living waters that they are drinking, and following the rhythm of the time. This is a time to now wake up, this is a time to stop, or whatever it is that they do. They literally are synchronizing their set points. So they can do this stuff.
Mynoo, I have a question about gravity that just came to me. Is there a period of time that we should focus on the gravity? And does doing walking like outside and on the concrete or in the park or?
Yeah, it certainly helps. And remember, these are the 7 circadian set points. We're going to have a session on each one of them. Okay, so we are going to do a deep dive into each one of them. Today, I'm going through this so that you get a sense of what are they. And you can already start working with this. So the next circadian set point is electromagnetic resonance. Synchronizing that. And the way to do this is earthing. The easiest is to walk bare feet on the earth for up to 40 minutes a day. Make sure that the grass that you're walking on hasn't been sprayed with pesticides. Or like we have a watering system, which is here in Dubai. It all looks very green, but it is sand after all, on which the grass has been planted and it's growing. So there is a watering system which is over-rich in nutrients, not that great for you to absorb. So in which case, in Dubai, I don't walk bare feet on the grass, but I would go walk bare feet on, on the sand by the ocean, because we have that. And if all else is not available, which is what has happened when I've gone to Delhi and the pollution is very high, I'm not walking anywhere, I have those earthing mats that you can buy online in the US at least. I also have magnetic mats, which allows that electromagnetic harmony to take place. Avoiding and harmonizing your use of gadgets that take you out of electromagnetic resonance, such as a strong computer screen or your iPhone or iPads. Through your eyes and even your skin, but certainly through your eyes, they take you out of electromagnetic resonance. So earthing is extremely important. I'm conscious of the time, so I'm going to go to the next one. The 5th circadian set point to synchronize is living foods. Food is our medicine. We've done a few sessions here in the Human Miracle. food is an important building block. So having a good proportion of your food as living food is extremely important. What is living food? Anything that does not come from a packet is living food. I'm doing this online program right now, which is a 30-day ultimate detox challenge. And one of the things that I've shared there with people is just go do a stock take, empty out your larders, empty out your kitchen cabinets, and create a pile of everything that comes from a packet that is in there. And put all of those things in one cabinet. And label that cabinet dead food cabinet. Now, there'll be some of these things that come from a packet. Like there are some spices and stuff that I have that I would use from the packet, already powdered. Now, when they went into the dead food cabinet, it wasn't particularly motivating for me to go take anything out of the dead food cabinet. I started looking at alternatives. You know, so the way to work with living foods and have most of your food as living food, then you can have a few things that are packet related. The way to do that is, you know, you have your breakfast be only living food. So I often say to people, you know, up to 12 o'clock, just in the morning, just have fruits. It's all living food. There's nothing else. When you have lunch, have the first plate as a pile of salads. Living food. Living foods have vitamins, trace minerals. When you cook them, then you get minerals, but you miss out on the vitamins and some trace minerals. Now, you do want a concentration of minerals, so it is good to get a plate 2, which is cooked food. But don't have it without having had plate 1 first. Also remember, there are different ways in which food is cooked. There is fire cooking, and there is salting. When you salt it, like pickles, they actually like cook up simply by putting them in saline water or salting them with spices. That in itself starts to cook. So vitamins and trace minerals get released from vegetables when you salt them beforehand. If you cook them before you actually apply salt to them, then you garnish it with salt, you've actually retained the vitamins. When we do the living food section, I'll talk more about that. But living foods is extremely important for to be synchronized. It is one of the circadian set points. The 6th one is living water. So find a way in which you're able to have living water. There are many, many gadgets. We live in the West, we are very well serviced. Those people that live in the villages are also very well serviced because they have their streams and they have access to living water through that. If you can't have access to any of that, if you're going to do a section on living water as a circadian set point, bless it. Bless it by going all the way back to where water originated from. So that through your prayers and your blessings, you actually bring that memory back into the water. I do have water paintings that I've now created coasters out of that bring this living water about. And I will share those, and maybe there's a way in which people can, order those coasters. The seventh circadian set point to be synchronized is to do with time, the timing of everything. We've just completed a series on sleep, and I talked about what point you must switch lights off and what point you start sleeping, because, there are certain ways in which our internal body operates. When we do the circadian set point session on time as a circadian set point, I will go into more details of how you work with getting the perfect timing so that the circadian set points are synchronized. And it takes just 3 days to achieve all of this. And you are on a roll. Over to you, Sarah, to conclude the session.
Wow. So brings up for me holistic, like I could feel it's holistic and full spectrum. I have a different view of that right now. And the flow of the circadian rhythm when we set the intentions through the set points. For me, I'm feeling so much more conscious of the simplicity in an odd way, unexpected way, because this all works with nature, the different elements of nature, including our food, and gravity, which I had no awareness of thinking about gravity. And now even when we do the beyond meditation, or when I'm walking, and if I'm walking barefoot, to be aware of the gravity with intention, and as well heat. I'm looking forward to now that we have the lay of the land, to the sessions when we're delving into each set point.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. So, just start working with it, play with it, in your own way, and you'll master it by the time we get to the end of this section of the human miracle. We are so fortunate and we are so well provided for. So thank you. Have a great rest of the evening and rest of the day.
Thank you, Mynoo.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Much love.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Mynoo.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you. I know tomorrow morning I'm running, no matter what, at 6 in the morning, I'm going to run to the balcony and go outside dressed up and do my sun gazing.
Good.